Hey, greetings, guys. I'm going to take a minute and introduce myself, and we'll talk a little bit. And then I've got a PowerPoint presentation I'm going to go through and share some knowledge that I've gained over the years about the quarterback position. Interesting. Vermont's represented. Iowa's represented. I love there's some parents on here. I'm going to share lots of good stuff about parenting the quarterback. Australia, we got somebody from Australia. That is so cool. Football is going international, guys. It's pretty amazing when we do these. The people from overseas that log in. Illinois. Okay, cool. Very cool. All right, there's what we're going to talk about today, guys. Today's game, the role of the quarterback, of the modern quarterback, the characteristics that that are, I feel, are ideal for the quarterback position. What specific skills are required? If you're a coach or a parent, how do you identify a great quarterback as a candidate? Okay, what's the parent's role? What type of coaching is required, and at what ages do you get involved in coaching the quarterback? I hear that question a lot, so I thought we'd talk about that tonight. I'm going to share some philosophies. I'm going to share some mechanics and drills tonight and talk about QBIQ. I call that understanding the game. QBIQ, what's your QBIQ? Your mental understanding of the game. Very, very important mindset and leadership strategies required of a great quarterback, and then some resources that are available to help you. A little bit about myself, guys. I'm a former Division I quarterback. I grew up in the state of Michigan. I was a quarterback through high school. I started, backyard football growing up, but I started formal football in 8th grade. That's when it was first available to us in the community I grew up in Central Michigan. So I was a quarterback from the very beginning, from 8th grade, and had an opportunity to go on to college and play on a scholarship and play quarterback. I was at Bowling Green for 5 years. Long time ago. The game's changed a lot over the years, but many things are still the same. Okay. I've been a 4-year assistant high school coach. I'm a certified leadership partner and trainer with the John Maxwell organization. That's one of the leading leadership organizations in the world. I had a business career for 30 years. Kind of got into this quarterback coaching thing in 2015. So it's been about 7 years I've been doing this. But I took a lot of what I learned from the business world and the leadership positions I held. I always was a student of leadership. I loved reading leadership books. I was exposed to some great leadership training through some of my corporate jobs. And I thought, wow, I need to teach this stuff to athletes. I need to teach it to quarterbacks. And one of my observations when I was coaching high school players, not only high school quarterbacks, but when I was just a high school coach, an assistant, was that coaches would ask their players to be leaders. They would ask captains to be leaders. They would ask seniors to be leaders. They would ask their quarterback to be a leader. But kids didn't know what that meant. They didn't know what leadership was, or they didn't know how to go about doing it. And a lot of times what kids will do is they'll end up yelling at each other like, come on, guys, or, and they think being vocal is being a leader, and it's not. And, having a leadership position, being in a leadership position in business or in sports does not make you a leader. Okay. We find that people get elevated into leadership positions based on their competency. If you're a good surgeon at the hospital, maybe they'll put you in charge of the coronary artery unit or the orthopedic unit. You'll be a head doctor, but that doesn't mean you know how to lead, right? We see that all the time in business, and we certainly see it in sports. We ask captains to be leaders. We ask coaches. Coaches get hired based on their knowledge of the game, their X's and O's. Then they get put into a leadership position. We see it in the NFL all the time. In college football, then they fail miserably because they don't know how to lead. They're good. They have good knowledge of football, but they don't have good knowledge of leadership. So training and teaching leadership is critical. And that's one thing I'm passionate about. I think you can probably sense that in my voice, but I'm passionate about teaching these kids and coaches what leadership is, why it's important, and how to do it. So we'll get into that a little bit. One of the things I've done recently is kind of a new passion of mine. I've become a mental skills coach. I partnered with the Brian Cain organization, and I got some certifications in mental skills training because there's a lot of clutter and a lot of noise and distractions out there today with these things, these phones. I call it manufactured mental illness, and it creates a real problem with kids and athletes and knowing how to prepare themselves, knowing how to quiet their minds, and knowing how to create the right kind of mental space so that they're ready to play and they can execute. So I love teaching the mental skills part of it, breathing, visualization, mental imagery, how to ground yourself when things are how to bring yourself back into a present moment, how to deal with failure, how to deal with adversity, all those things. I'm also, for you parents out there, I'm an athlete parent. Now my kids are grown, But my son was a really good athlete and a football player. And I had a daughter as well. My daughter ended up being a Division I athlete. She was a beach volleyball player at UC Davis. Most of our life was back in Northern California. My adult career life and raising kids was in Northern California. So she finished up there at UC Davis. So I know what it's like to raise athletes, one who wasn't passionate about it, but was a good athlete, and one who was passionate about it. So I'll kind of compare and contrast that a little bit as well for your parents, and how to put your kids in the best position to succeed as a parent. It's not easy. I spend a lot of time coaching these quarterbacks. Now I have a quarterback academy, obviously, but I spend a lot of times coaching the parent and consulting the parent on how to navigate the process. And so I love being that resource to parents as well. So let's talk about today's game, the role of the quarterback. Well, listen, more so than ever, more so than when I played it, this is a QB-centric game. Okay. You've got to have a dude. We see it at all levels. If you don't have a functional quarterback, man, good luck. Okay. Good luck. The game has just evolved to be that way. If you're a coach, man, it's worth putting time and learning how to groom those quarterbacks. You can't just wait until the season starts and find out, okay, who can throw, and let's make you our quarterback, man. That's the recipe for disaster. Okay. I say this, playing quarterback is extremely difficult when you know what you're doing. It's impossible when you don't. I'll say that again. Playing quarterback is extremely difficult when you know what you're doing, and it's impossible when you don't. And I'll expand upon that a little bit today during this presentation. So the role of today's quarterback is, with schemes today, you got RPOs, run pass options, where you're making reads. You got fast tempo offenses. You got a lot of signaling going on. Used to be, the coach would call a player would run it in. They'd tell the quarterback what the play is. You would call it in the huddle. You'd step up, make sure everybody's lined up, and snap the ball. Well, no, now you have to read the signal. You make sure everyone's lined up. We have to understand the defense. We read the coverage. We look at the defense. We check, make sure we have proper pass protection set up. And then as the ball snapped, we're making reads. And based on, a lot of times, offenses are designed to put a particular player on an island. And we're going to say, okay, if this outside linebacker steps up, we're going to do this. If he steps back, we're going to do that. Okay. So quarterbacks have to make really, really, really quick decisions. We got, sometimes in more sophisticated systems, there's receivers that are adjusting their routes based on the coverages. So quarterback has to not only know what they're doing, but they got to know what their teammates are doing as well. And it's a lot to process mentally. And so for you quarterbacks out there and you parents, I think coaches understand this, but man, it's like, you have to have your mechanics in the physical part of the game. You have to have hardwired. I call it have it hardwired, meaning it's like we don't think when we breathe, right? When I drive a car, I can have a conversation. I can talk. I don't have to actively think about the act of driving. Okay. It's second nature. Okay. It's automatic. We're operating at the subconscious level. That's the way playing the quarterback position needs to be from a mechanic standpoint, with your footwork and your drops and your ability to escape and move in the pocket, and certainly your throwing mechanics. All those things have to be second nature, subconscious. You're not thinking about them, okay? Because there's so many other things going on. And that requires a lot of reps and a lot of work in the off season for the quarterbacks. I'm amazed at how there's so many quarterbacks out there that don't put the off-season time in and drill those things. And of course, it shows up on Friday nights and Saturdays during the season. Here's another thing. Any other sport, if you think about any other sport, baseball, basketball, you can play the sport almost every day at full speed. You can't do that in football. You can't replicate real live football except on game day. Not even in a scrimmage situation, okay? So it's really hard. That's why I put limitations on real football. It's really hard. It's really, really hard to replicate real live football, where the bullets are flying and people are coming at you full speed trying to take your head off. We just can't replicate that. And that really makes this position unique from that standpoint. I want to talk about the characteristics of a quarterback. Okay. First of all, let's talk about character. What is it? Well, there's two kinds of character. Okay. Because you got to have a person of high character playing the quarterback position. These traits, this came from a study that was done. They surveyed like 20 of the top basketball coaches in the country. A guy by the name of Brad, I can't remember his last name. He's the kind of a leadership coach. Well, he surveyed top college coaches in the nation. They identified in this survey, these were the character traits that they looked for in athletes that they were recruiting and wanted to be a part of their program. Now we divide this into two types of character. First of all, there's more. Let's go to the right side here. There's moral character. Okay, moral character are things that govern your relationship with other people. Okay, these things are like honesty, respectfulness, loyalty. Obviously, a big one here, trustworthy, caring. Okay, these are moral character traits that govern your relationship with others. Okay, and then there's performance character. These are characteristics that govern your relationship with yourself. Things like hard work, competitive, I'm focused, I'm accountable, I'm resilient or mentally tough. Okay, I'm confident. Discipline is a big one there. Motivated, that's kind of goes along with discipline as well. But these are character traits that obviously if we could pick the character traits we could find in a quarterback, we would want these sort of things. We'll talk about leadership in a minute and I'll bring these character traits back into it. But I'll just say this, we're going over to moral character. It's like, man, you can't lead other people if you're not trustworthy. I tell quarterbacks all the time, man, that's step number one of being a leader is you have to be trustworthy. You have to earn trust. You have to earn trust. And there's lots of ways to earn trust. But if you're seen as an untrustworthy person or a person of low character, man, your leadership journey is over before it starts. Okay. Because dude, you can't kick somebody off the team. You can't make somebody run extra laps after practice. You can't put someone on the bench. You don't have that, what I would call, leadership by authority. You don't have that. Okay. So your leadership has to be earned. It's really, really important for kids to understand that, for any leader to understand that really, to be a great leader. We don't want people following you just because they have to, because you have authority over them. That's not the true leadership. That's not really good leadership. You're not going to get the best out of people. You get the best out of people when they trust you, when they love you, when they appreciate you and they want to work extra hard for you. And that's really important for quarterbacks to understand that, because we want those guys up front to work really hard for us, to really, really take it personal every single day and every single night or game days to protect us, give us time to throw. And the more they love us and the more they appreciate us and care about us and the better job we do of developing that relationship with them, the harder they're going to work for us. We'll talk about some examples of that. Certainly other quarterback characteristics we look for here, other than character, is, you want to be athletic. I believe in multiple sport athletes. I was one myself. I think it's important for kids to play multiple sports. The skills that you pick up doing other sports can translate over into football very nicely. Certainly, I do believe too, if you really want to be a good quarterback, you probably need to focus a little bit more on quarterback in the off season. The extra time that you put in, it probably needs to be more towards quarterback than your other sports. I mean, you need to work in the off season on all your sports, but being quarterback is, as many coaches would admit, is this is one of the hardest positions to play in all of sport. In all of sport, being a quarterback is ranked among the hardest. And many coaches will admit that. So resilient, we want someone who's mentally tough and resilient. Okay, who's not going to dwell in the past, who's capable of making mistakes, and that's okay. This is how we learn, right? When they make mistakes, they're asking questions. They're not pointing fingers. They're not a victim. They're asking questions. I call somebody who gets knocked down and gets back up and gets knocked down and gets back up. A lot of people will call that person resilient or mentally tough. I say, no, that person's an idiot. They're an idiot. Because before you get back up, you want to ask questions. And I teach my quarterbacks to ask the interrogative questions: who, what, where, when, why. Those are the interrogatives, the W words: who, what, where, when, why. So when you make mistakes or when you have failure, start asking those kind of questions. What just happened? Why did that happen? Who do I need to see to get better? What can I do better next time so that doesn't happen again? Okay. Now we're growing. Now we're learning. That's being resilient. Man, you're going to make a lot of mistakes playing quarterback, and coaches, you need to let them make a lot of mistakes, man. It's part of it. I threw 5 interceptions in high school in one game out of about 15 attempts. Okay. I'm going to say that again. Out of about 15 attempts, I threw 5 interceptions in one game in high school. Okay. That's 1 out of every 3 attempts. How did I feel? Did it ruin my career? No. Went on to, playing college after that. But you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Be okay with mistakes. Be okay with failure. Learn from it. See it as the great teacher that it can be if you approach failure the right way. And that's a big if for a lot of kids today, because kids want to blame, and parents, you need to hold your young quarterback accountable. And when they're failing and making mistakes, then that's where the parent role steps in. It's like, okay, well, what can we learn from this? What did you learn? How are you going to grow from this? How are you going to prevent this from happening again? Do you need to, seek some extra film time with your coach? Can you talk to him about what you can be doing different? Okay. And that's a great role for a parent to play. Confidence. That's a great trait of a quarterback. Okay. To have confidence, not cockiness, but confidence. Okay. Where does confidence come from? I believe it's a lot of things. You can fake confidence, and that's not a bad thing, but you can't really cheat confidence. It comes from preparation, in my opinion. The more you're prepared, the more confident you're going to be. So confidence is kind of earned. Leadership, I say this: be a quarterback, not just an athlete playing the quarterback position. Okay, let me say that again. Be a quarterback, not just an athlete playing the quarterback positions. We see it all levels. And I see it in the pros. I see it in the NFL. Athletes playing the quarterback position. And then I see guys like the one pictured there. That's a quarterback. And there's many other examples as well. But Tom Brady is a quarterback. That means he's a leader of men. He is operating with character, integrity on and off the field in the way he treats people. These young quarterbacks need to be building relationships with their teammates and their classmates, not just their teammates, their classmates. They need to be building relationships with their teachers. They need to be acting with integrity at home, in the community, in church, in the store, because all eyes are on the quarterback. At some point in time, as they grow in that position, all eyes are on them. And so quarterbackial is another term I use. You think of the term presidential, act presidential, okay? Act quarterbackial. That's another way to look at it. So I really challenge you guys, you coaches, parents, and quarterbacks, to be a quarterback. Don't just be a dude playing the position. Okay. And I think I've made myself clear on what that means. You have to be highly coachable. I've coached some quarterbacks that are not fun to coach. They're not easy to coach. They don't give you the eye contact. They act like what you're saying that doesn't have a lot of value. Nothing's more frustrating than trying to coach an athlete or a quarterback that's not learning based, or that doesn't have a good attitude towards learning. Man, this thing's hard. You have to study this position hard if you want to be good. Now, this presentation tonight is not about being an average quarterback. This is about being a great quarterback. Okay. So you have to love learning. Look for coaches when you're looking at those junior high school kids, trying to find out, okay, who do I got coming up? Who could I identify as a quarterback? Man, you got to find dudes who got pretty decent grades, who enjoy learning. If they don't, man, you're going to struggle at this position. Obviously, we want to be competitive. Okay. That's important as well. Okay. So let's talk about off-season development. As I mentioned, playing the quarterback position is really hard when you know what you're doing. This is the weight room wall of a high school I coached at in Northern California. This is what they put in the weight room, and I loved it. I took a photo of it. All men are created equal. Some just work harder in the off season. And I thought that was such a great thing to have on the wall of a weight room. And this was a championship level program I coached at, you guys. We competed for championships every year. One of the years I coached there, my son was a junior. We were 13-1 and won the Northern California section, but just a great program. And of course, it all begins in the off season. So the question that I beg is, what is your plan to develop the skills that you'll need to reach the goals that you have? Powerful question right there. What's your plan to develop the skills that you will need to achieve the goals that you have? Better have a plan. Better have a crystal clear plan on what you're going to do if you have goals with this. Okay? Because as old Herm Edwards said, and I love this quote that Herm said, you can't cheat the game. It shows up. Whatever you're doing, good, bad, or indifferent, is going to show up under the lights on Friday nights or Saturdays if you're playing in college or youth. Off-season development should involve a combination of these things. Working on your functional QB movement, which is your strength, agility, range of motion, QB specific stuff. I see quarterbacks ruin themselves in the weight room. I see quarterbacks that work too hard, take weightlifting way too seriously. Yes, we want to be strong. Yes, we want to lift weights, but gaining strength is good to a point where it becomes counterproductive with the quarterback position, because it restricts range of motion over, at some point. So we need to be aware that we're doing the right kind of exercises that are functional, specific to the QB position, and that we're maintaining our range of motion, our ability to move our arms, because throwing, Tom Brady, most of the second half of his career only worked out with bands. Just bands, because he wanted to maintain his range of motion, his health, his pliability, flexibility. Kept him healthy, kept him in the game for a long time. Okay. Obviously, developing skills. We want to be working on our throwing and our footwork and our play action mechanics and our escapes, our pocket movement drills. I'll give you some examples tonight. Here's a big one that a lot of people miss, and it is huge, and that's learning the game. Okay, I say this: the quarterback position is played largely from the waist down and the neck up. Okay, let me say that again. The quarterback position is played largely from the waist down and the neck up. Okay, everybody thinks playing quarterback position is all about throwing. Hey, I hear it all the time. Parents say, man, my kid can sling it, man. I got a guy that can sling it. Man, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, great. So can a million other kids, okay? Playing quarterback is about, yes, you have to be able to throw the ball. Yes, you have to be able to do that. No question. But you got to be able to move your feet properly. Throwing starts with footwork, okay? And, navigate the pocket, do your drops, that sort of thing. So footwork is huge. But you have to learn the game. Once you can function physically, so once you can throw and move your feet and do the drops and execute the mechanics of the game, okay, now you're on first base. That'll get you to first base. The rest of the way around to get to home plate, which I consider being a highly successful quarterback, the rest of it, guys, is the leadership, the mental skills, the emotional skills. It's knowledge of the game, and it's experience, time under center. Game experience. Those are the things that are going to get you around the bases. So understanding the game, what are different defensive line techniques? How do I identify defensive line players, holes and gaps and schemes? And what are the techniques of the defensive line players? Hey, we're going to option the 3 technique this week. Joey, what's the 3 technique? A lot of quarterbacks don't know that. Okay. What are the levels of a defense? And now we're getting into linebacker level. Level 2, level 3 as defensive backs. Okay. What are the different level 2 players? We've got apex players, alley players, seam players. How do we identify a box? What about coverages? Different types of coverages. We have to identify coverages, because those are the clues on where our receivers are going to be open and how we're going to attack the defense. What about disguises? Coverage disguises. What are some clues for understanding coverage disguises? Pre-snap and post-snap, after the ball snap. Okay, what about blitz? How about pass protection? We have to adjust our pass protection for blitzes and mismatches, and then reads and route schemes. So those are all the mental parts of the game. And guys, that's huge. It's absolutely huge. I've got some solutions for you we'll talk about tonight. And by the way, I have something special at the end of the program that I want to offer to you guys as well. So you need to learn, you need to grow in that area. Okay. If you're just focusing on the throwing and the footwork, you're not going to be a great quarterback. Okay. You might be functional. You might be just kind of average. Okay. And then obviously growing your mind and growing your leadership skills. Okay. Finding a quarterback. Okay. For your coaches out there, strategies. Well, I mean, look, my good buddy is Kyle Hockman. Now, Kyle was he was going to join us tonight, but he's not able to. But he was my tight end at Bowling Green. We were roommates for 1 year. I graduated in 88. He graduated in 90. He went into coaching right away. He coached at the Division III level at West Virginia and East Carolina. Then he was he was an offensive coordinator at Millersville University, a D2 school. And they got tired of the nomadic lifestyle and moving all the time. So he took a high school job. He's been a Cobb County, Atlanta, Georgia, Cobb County Coach of the Year 2 times. Now he's over in Savannah. But he's a real bright offensive mind, and he's been doing this for 33 years. Kyle's last 9 consecutive quarterbacks. Let me say that again. His last 9 consecutive starting high school quarterbacks in his programs have gone on to play at college. Okay. And I've seen his rising junior, and I've seen his rising 8th grader, and they're going to go to college as well. Guarantee this. He's going to have 11 straight quarterbacks that are going to go on to play in college. A lot of this content here that I'm sharing right now came from him. What is he doing? How is he having so much success? Well, one of the things is he identifies these kids in middle school. Okay. And he gets them excited about playing quarterback. What's he look for? Well, he looks for guys who are multi-sport athletes, good athletes. He looks for kids who can throw, who have natural throwing ability. Now, they don't have to necessarily be good football throwers, but he might find a middle infield baseball player who can throw, and he'll work with that kid. Okay. They got to have a great attitude towards coaching and a great attitude towards learning. And then those other things I talked about, confident, leadership traits. So you got to find them at the lower levels. You might just go out and watch some baseball games, talk to some baseball coaches, find out who your throwers are, find out who your really good kids are. Identify those kids at an early age. And then what he does is he takes them into the QB room with his varsity guys and his 7th grade guys all in a room together. And he's on the chalkboard and he's teaching them ball in the off season. So they have a very, very high football IQ by the time they get up to the varsity level. That's the primary reason his kids are so successful. And then he also says this, you identify based on those factors. And then at the bottom here, he says, become a salesman. You got to get these kids excited about playing quarterback. Like, oh, come on, this is special. This is a special position, right? Get them, being a quarterback can really kind of help set you up from a leadership and character standpoint for life. I tell parents all the time, look, I can't guarantee your kid's going to be a starting quarterback. I can't guarantee he's going to be all state. I can't guarantee he's going to go on to play at college, but I can guarantee you that if he commits to the process, then he's going to be a better person. That I can guarantee, because this position demands it, because it's so difficult and it's filled with so much adversity and challenge. It demands that personal growth that can really, really benefit a person in life. Parents' role. Spend a lot of time, guys, talking to the parents. They're frustrated. The coach is playing his son, his daddy ball going on, or my kid's not starting, or he's not getting reps in practice, or his coach doesn't know anything about the passing game. All he does is run the ball. What do we do? I can't tell you how much time I spend talking to parents. So I've come up with this analogy. Okay. That's your role right there, guys. That's your role. If you're going to grow something and you're growing a kid, okay, we're in this conversation, we're trying to grow a quarterback. What kind of soil are you going to put him in? Put your kid in fertile soil. That's your role. That's your number one role as a parent. Put your kid in fertile soil. So let's talk about fertile soil. You have to be intentional about this. You can't just assume it's going to happen. Now, the quarterback that Kyle's ninth quarterback that just went to college is Paulie Seeley. Paulie is an early enrollee. He graduated early from high school in December. He's already at Wofford. It's a Division I school in South Carolina. He's a quarterback, full scholarship at Wofford. He had multiple offers. Paulie's parents, Paul Sr., the dad, used to be teammates with us at Bowling Green. So he knew who Kyle was, and he was aware of Kyle's success with quarterbacks. They moved from Michigan to Savannah, Paulie's sophomore year, to play for Coach Hockman. Paul had a successful car business and really successful used car dealership in Central Michigan. He had that thing running pretty good. He let his other family members run it, and he worked as much as he could from remotely. They moved. Now, a lot of people can't do that. I understand that, but he wanted the right environment for his son, who was passionate about being a quarterback. And he knew that if he could get him with Coach Hockman, he would get coached properly. He'd be around the athletes he needed to be around. But I do sometimes, guys, changing programs is your only option. I hate to say it, but I mean, I see some situations. I see some daddy ball situations far too often. I see coaches who don't understand the passing game at all and who don't want to understand the passing game. I see that a lot. It's like, well, okay, you can stay there, but your son's not going to develop as a quarterback. Okay. I mean, just make that choice. It's just reality. But it goes beyond that. It also involves connecting your son with coaches, like, quarterback coaches, like private quarterback coaches, like what I do, working with quarterbacks individually or in small groups in the off season, developing their skills. Okay. I think you gotta have those guys. And obviously I would love to help you. I'd love to get in relationship with you and your kid. I want to apply for that job. Certainly I want to earn the right to do that. But if it's not me, find somebody to coach your kid, because this position has evolved to the point where I don't think you can be successful without getting your kid with somebody who's taken a real deep dive in how to coach this position, from throwing to mechanics to footwork, understanding the game, that sort of thing. Okay. Mentors, find mentors, the coaches, your high school coaches, wonderful position to be mentors. Okay. My son would go to the head coach I worked for. My son would go to him, and I had a very close relationship with my son, but he would go to him with certain things that he wouldn't come to me with. And I embrace that. So get them around mentors. They're going to help them become men of honor, because listen, your role as a parent becomes limited. There's things your kids don't want to talk to you about. So make sure that they have mentors in their life. Get with the right program. By that, I mean, wherever they're going to play their ball, if they're serious about being a quarterback, make sure they're in the right program. At the end of the day, my opinion is you want your son to have a good experience. You want him to have a good experience. Football, the high school football experience can be magical. It'll be something your kid can remember the rest of their life. They can grow so much from it if they're in the right program. And it doesn't have to be a program where they're going to sling it 30 or 40 times a game. It doesn't have to be that kind of a program, but just where he can have an overall positive, good experience where they take football fairly seriously. And if you're in a losing program, man, that's just not going to be a whole lot of fun. Chances are your head coach doesn't take his job seriously enough. To be successful in high school, these coaches put in a lot of time, a lot of reaching out to kids and being there for them when they're having problems all year round. There's a lot to it that you don't understand, but that's how the good programs operate. And then obviously your home environment as well, critical to making sure that foundationally your son has a lot of those traits we talked about, that you're raising them that way. And I trust that you are, especially since you're on this program. All right, let's talk about throwing mechanics. Obviously, I can spend hours and hours and hours talking about this. Let me give you some basics. Okay, first of all, pre-pass position and posture. Okay, I found this photo one time. I think this is a great photo. These three New York Jets quarterbacks here, all kind of executing proper posture. What we want to do is we want to hold the ball here in this pre-pass position where the tip of the ball is angled down a little bit so it's protected. Our elbows are relaxed. Okay, our elbows are relaxed. So that way we have relaxed shoulders. If your elbows are extended, we used to do it like this. You get tight in the shoulders and you can't move your feet as well. It kind of restricts your foot movements. We want to be relaxed. Kind of forms this triangle here that you can see. Obviously, eyes downfield, but also notice the spine angle or the posture. So I say this, bend your knees, get a wide base. So we want heels outside the knees and knees outside the hips. Okay, so we call it a hip to heel relationship. Hip to heel relationship. My quarterbacks that I coach have heard that so many times, getting a wider hip to heel relationship. Okay, so maintain a wide base throughout all your movements. I'll show you some drills that we do. Bend your knees and act like you're 2 inches taller than you are. Okay, what does that mean? Bend your knees means getting a powerful base, get your heels slightly out of the ground. All these guys have their heels slightly out of the ground. You can see this one here. That's Coach Hockman's son, Bailey. He played for NC State. So be up on a little bit, not on your tippy toes, but a little bit on the balls of your feet, heels slightly out of the ground. Okay. And then we want to act tall, roll your shoulders back, have a good spine angle. Okay. And that's how we deal. That's the quarterback position, pre-pass position. And then we teach them how to move in that position. So here's Bailey again. That's Kyle's son. Coach Hockman was on a Zoom with me recently, and so I grabbed some pictures of Bailey since he was doing the Zoom with me. But you can see he's got that nice base. He's got that pre-pass position. Let's talk about key throwing mechanics. Okay, what are the key throwing mechanics? Okay, first of all, when we separate, that means we take two hands off the ball. Okay, and we go to this double L position. If you look at the arms, both the left arm and the right arm, see the double L that forms? Okay, there's Bailey, Coach Hockman's son. See the double L? Okay, that's separation. We don't want to drop the ball down low. I don't know if you guys can see me, but we don't want to, a lot of quarterbacks, they'll drop the ball down here. No, we do all of our business up here, all of our business up top. Okay, separation is done up top. And then we get to this position here, but we get to this L position here. Okay, so he probably started out like if the upper left hand, there's your double L right there. And then we just elevate the ball, the throwing ball. Okay, so we maintain this L position with the throwing hand. I say this humerus bone right here, we want that arm, that part of the arm parallel to the ground. That sets the elbow in a proper position to make a key move. And I'll talk about that key move here in just a second. There's Bailey in the separation position. Okay. And then when we're in that position, when we raise the ball up, we want to show the C, not the U. See the C I'm making right here? Watch my back elbow when I show the U. That's a U with my hand. What happened to my elbow when I show the U? See the elbow drop? So we want to show the C, keep the elbow high. We're in the position. And then the key move, guys, is we transfer the elbow above the shoulder when we throw, and we lead with the elbow. We lead with the elbow. The elbow, the hips go first. We'll look at we'll look at Tom Brady here in a minute. The hips, there's a sequence of events, sequencing. The hips rotate first, then our upper body rotates. Our elbow leads the hand. So it's hips, elbow, hand. Hips, elbow, hand in that sequence. Okay, see the elbow transitioning to the lead position? See the elbow circling the shoulder? The elbow has to go above the shoulder. There's Bailey there, leading with the elbow. He's making an off-platform throw here, but you can see the elbow transitioning above the shoulder. That elbow mechanics, guys, is huge. Absolutely huge. I call it a non-negotiable. When I coach quarterbacks, there's certain things you'll negotiate, but there's certain things that I won't. So you will never be a good quarterback if you don't get the elbow above the shoulder. There's been one recent quarterback in the NFL who did not get the elbow above the shoulder. Can anybody tell me? He's not in the NFL anymore. He was a pretty good one. One.
Philip Rivers.
Philip Rivers. That's right. And he says, Philip Rivers, who played for NC State, close to where I'm at, he said that when he was growing up, he used too heavy of a football when he was little, and he developed bad mechanics. Now, he figured out a way to make it work, but he was about the only one. Let's watch Tom Brady. Okay, I got this down super slow motion. Now watch Brady's. See his loaded position, first of all. See the knee bend? Pre-pass position like we talked about. See the spine angle? All right, now watch his hips start to lead the way. Watch him clear his hips. See that? First thing that happens is his hips clear. Okay, he's creating a path. He's creating power through the hips. And now the elbow. See the elbow coming through? The head of the football? While he maintains good spine angle. So guys, it's hips, elbow, hand is the proper sequence. That's how you create power in the throw. Any questions? Now, there's a lot more information there but we have to understand that proper sequencing. Here's Tom Brady.
So I can see a little
with his quarterback coach Tom House, just working his hips. Watch this.
muscling up. If you do that, you have torque. If you do this, you don't have any torque.
That's what I feel. So it's that.
Okay. All right.
I've got to be here. You know? I just got to get this.
How easy is that? You see how relaxed you feel up here? He's just rewiring his nervous system. I can see a little muscling up.
Now, I'm not going to get into this too much. The reason he's holding his left arm there is because he doesn't want his left arm to over-rotate. If your arm over-rotates, then you lose energy. You lose torque. In all rotational sports, there's a point where the rotation stops and hits something. And that ground energy then comes back to the body and catapults the object out. Okay, and you see it in all sports. Golfing, okay, hitting a baseball, throwing a javelin. There's a block. I call it a block. Okay, well, we need to stop rotation suddenly, a sudden stop of rotation at some point, and that's why he's talking about not getting his elbow too far in the position behind him. But I showed you that because I wanted you to see him working his hips as well. And this is what amazes me. Look at Tom Brady. He's won multiple Super Bowls at this point, and he's still out there trying to get 1 or 2% better. Okay, and we got all these kids out here trying to be quarterbacks. Literally, I can take a kid and make him like 85 or 90% better. Okay, and they're not taking the time to do that. They think they can just show up and play quarterback because they know how to throw a football, right? And you got a guy like Tom Brady who's already accomplished, greatest in the world, and he's still trying to get better. That's a growth mindset, and that's a type of mindset that champions have. We're going to talk about some drills real quick here. I'm going to show you some footwork drills that are specific to the QB movement. It's really important to be working the feet in the off season. I'll show you some basic footwork drills I think are real key. First of all, ladders. Ethan, I'm going to show your video. Ethan's on this call. Remember that little kid, Ethan? All right, so this is the Icky Shuffle. Okay, this is a typical drill that everybody does on a ladder. Okay, great. Cool, great drill. Okay, let me show you a Icky Shuffle that's more specific to the quarterback position, because we want quarterbacks to, and all these clips I'm showing you are in my QB development app, which I'm going to share with you guys in the end of this presentation. I've got a special offer for you. But now here's Ethan doing Icky Bounds. This is more QB specific because we want quarterbacks to push into their movements, while they're in the pocket. So we also need them to be able to balance themselves and anticipate stabilization, land and move and flip hips and land with stability. So always in a stable position so they can throw the ball accurately. So here Ethan is pushing and balancing. See that? See the difference in this drill? He's pushing, anticipating landing with a stabilized position. Okay, so we like to take typical drills and kind of QB specify those drills. Okay, here's another ladder drill where we're working on hip mobility. We just saw from Tom Brady, you got to have fluid hips, right? So here's Ethan working this ladder and he's rotating his hips. He gets a little better here at the end, right? Because I was getting on him a little bit about rolling his hips better. There we go. We want to see hip mobility. Disassociate the hips from the shoulders. Let me show you a great disassociation drill right here. Love this drill for quarterbacks on the ladder. Okay, so what we have his shoulders going in one direction and the hips going in the opposite direction. And the way I do this is I say, you point your toes one way and then you completely point your toes the opposite way while gluing your shoulders to the black part of the ladder. So keep the shoulders parallel to the ladder and flip the hips in opposite directions. And that's what Ethan's trying to do here. This a couple of years ago when we shot this video, Ethan's kind of turning into a man all of a sudden. But okay, so we're really taking these footwork drills and making them specific. So working the QB shuffle. This is part of my everyday drill with quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks are going to move through.
Now I'll have them go through this in different ways. Shuffling through it. He's really trying to get in and out, up and down. Sometimes I'll have them do it where they don't heel click quite as much, where they keep a wider base without heel clicking. I'll have them do this as well, where they're going through.
Okay.
Kind of.
What we're going to do.
This is what it would look like while you're waiting for a receiver to bust open. You're just in the pocket. You're ready to throw. But you're kind of moving your feet like a heavyweight boxer, right?
We're just going to put out some kind of cones or dummies.
Okay.
Okay.
That's just a QB shuffle drill. We teach dropping down the line. I could spend 15, 20 minutes talking about this, but basically what we want to do is we want to have the quarterbacks drop in a way, and I'll just have them keep dropping. We want to have them drop in a way where they're pointing their toes slightly forward. That opens up the hip. And when the hips open, you can see his hips open, then the quarterback can see the entire field. Now you can imagine if he points his toes backwards when he's dropping, because that's the natural tendency is they want to point their toes backwards. Well, that's going to close his hip and that's going to not allow him to see the whole left side of the field. So we have to be real intentional about teaching quarterbacks how to drop in a way that their hips are open. Okay. I'll teach these hip flips right here. Well, I'll have them go back and forth. I call it dominant and non-dominant drop and learn how to flip their hips and anticipate those quick movements. How to anticipate that hip flip as that back foot comes down. These are almost everyday drills that I do with quarterbacks. If you're a coach and you're coaching quarterbacks, these are the drills that I'm showing you here. I think you should incorporate in your EDDs. Great warm-ups. Really good stuff. You can see Tua here on his pro day. Watch him flip his hips here. Okay, look at that hip flip. That's a Miami Dolphin quarterback right there. Okay, now look at his wide base. Look at the base that he maintains with his feet. Okay, that is intentional work right there. Watch Tua here on a naked zone stretch boot. Look at his wide base. See his base? No heel clicking going on there. But what I love about this is look how he opens and bellies. He opens and bellies the ball. He glues his eyes to the running back. Okay. His eyes are on the running back. He lowers his head and shoulder level. He offers that ball, sticks it in there. Look at him follow the running back with his eyes. After he pulls the ball back, look at what he does. Look, he follows that running back with his eyes. He's really selling this play action. Okay. Then he rebellies the ball. He's hiding the ball right now. Again, this is all deception that we're working on. Quarterbacks need to learn to be very deceptive with the football. It's like, where's the ball? Who's got the ball? And there we are into a nice wide base, ready to throw the football, position of power right there. No heel clicking going on. That's really good stuff by Tua. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys some of those things. Here's a great pocket movement drill. Okay, it's a 4-cone drill. I just have the quarterback shuffle through the, oh, this is the kid who just signed with Wofford. That's Paulie Seeley. Good.
Relax.
Just relaxed. You're moving around.
Good.
Getting used to shuffling your feet in the pocket.
Good.
Okay, this is, I believe this is Bailey, Coach Hockmanson, who played for NC State. That's Bailey. Okay, look at him gliding through that. Not easy to do right there, guys. Makes that look a lot easier than it is. But Bailey works that stuff. These guys work that stuff on a regular basis. Okay, really good stuff there from a mechanical standpoint. From a mental standpoint, teaching the game of football, understanding route schemes, pre-snap reads, post-snap reads, identifying coverages. What are we going to do with this football? Being able to make those key decisions. Guys, when I was at Bowling Green, I beat out quarterbacks that were better than me physically, that ran faster and threw harder and threw further. I was able to beat them out because I knew what I was going to do with the football. I almost think that my limitations physically, I was tall, but I wasn't really fast, and I didn't have a cannon for an arm. I had an average arm, but I almost think those limitations helped me because I said, man, I can't do that, what those guys are doing. I can't do that. I need to really understand what I'm going to do with this football. And that allowed me to be more successful on the field. Basic understanding, coverage clues. What are the gifts? What is the defense giving us here? Understanding, seeing all those clues. Knowledge equals decisiveness. Okay, I want to talk to you a minute, briefly, guys, about leadership. I could spend hours talking about this, but I want to just make this point. I call this the law of the lid. In any organization, whether it's a football team or corporate America, any organization anywhere, the level of success that organization achieves will never exceed the level of its leadership. Okay, I call that the law of the lid. On a scale of 1 to 10, if your organization's leadership is at a 7, you're not going to achieve at a 9 or a 10. Okay, you're going to bounce off that. You're going to achieve at a 5 or a 6. Occasionally you'll have exceptional talent where maybe you can exceed that, but as a general rule, okay, I believe that's a law. And that's why we need coaches and quarterbacks that know how to lead. And I talk about the 4 C's of leadership. And basically those C's are, number 1, character. That's the first C, character. And these are like rungs on a ladder. If you're climbing a ladder of leadership, you want to climb in leadership, you're going to earn the right to lead your people. Okay. It's like climbing a ladder. That first rung is character. Okay. If you don't have it, you're not trustworthy, your leadership is done. It's over. Okay. Well, the next C is connection. Connection. Okay. Well, and I spend a lot of time talking to the kids about this. And this is a life skill as well. But connection is knowing how to get into a conversation with people. Knowing how to put your phone down and go get into a conversation with people, and how to stay in a place of curiosity and ask people questions in a way that's engaging and you're learning about them. And I use this acronym called FORD, F-O-R-D. It stands for family, other activities, recreation, dreams, and desires. So just remember the car company, Ford, family. Hey, dude, I noticed you just moved into our school. And we're going to be playing football together. I wanted to get to know you a little bit. Maybe it's just sitting down at lunch with them, right? Maybe it's walking off the practice field with them. They tell me a little bit about where you're from. Where'd you move? Where'd you from? Where were you born? What's your mom and dad do for a living? Do you have any brothers and sisters? Are they into sports? Okay, you're just asking about family, right? Dude, when you're not playing football, what other sports do you like, or what other activities are you doing here in school? Are you involved in? Okay, other activities. Oh, you wrestle? Tell me about that. What do you like better, football or wrestling? Man, wrestling looks like it's really hard, man. What's harder? Just, again, using that acronym to stay in a place of curiosity. So, dude, when you're not in school doing sports, what are you into? Video games, hunting and fishing? What's up? In your own words. Now we're talking about recreation. Okay, now most kids won't get that far in a conversation, but I tell kids, honest God truth, that's how I met my wife. I walked up to her, introduced myself, and I just laid that Ford acronym on her, and it was sincere, and it was authentic, and it was real. And I made a real nice connection with her. And 2 nights later, we're on a date, and now she's my wife. And that's how it works. But that's a learned skill. Okay, so that's connection. The third C is competency. Okay, so first of all, now you've established trust, got the character, you've connected with them, they like you, like, I kind of like this guy. Now it's like, okay, wow, competency. That dude can play. Look, man, he's making throws all over the field. He's leading the team. on the field. He's vocal. He knows what he's doing out there. He's competent. Maybe I should follow this guy. Maybe he's the type of guy I should follow. Okay. So you have to be able to demonstrate your competency at some point. Now, if you're a backup quarterback and you're not getting those opportunities, it's tough to be a leader. You can really work on the character. You can work on the connection. But until you start getting that opportunity on the field to demonstrate your competency, it's hard to keep rising in leadership. Okay. And then that fourth C and final C is construction. Helping other people around you get better, like Tom Brady does. Why is Tom Brady successful everywhere he goes? Well, it's because he makes connections with his teammates. He invests in time to get to know them. He demonstrates his character. He spends time with, throwing extra routes. He might help out their family, do something. He takes the time to help people around him get better. Okay. And there's lots of ways you can help your teammates get better, even if it's just spending time with them after practice. I say you can always field punts for the punter. You can always throw routes to the receiver. You can snap or hold for the place kicker. Okay. Volunteer your time. Okay. That's one way to help other people around you get better. That's a simple way. Obviously you could coach them, help them understand things better as well. But there's lots of ways to lead. So I love teaching that leadership to the kids. Guys, I want to wrap this up. I'm going to answer some questions in the end, but before I do, with your permission, I would like to share something with you that I think may not be for everybody out there, but I think this could be a perfect tool for many of you. And I'd like to just take a minute and share this with you. I got a real special offer for you tonight. It's my QB development app. This is something I've spent the last two and a half years of my life developing. I noticed kids were on their phones all the time. And I noticed a lot of kids would only work on their craft of being a quarterback when they were with me. I'm like, you need to be spending time on your own. You need to get better on your own. You don't need Coach Smith to be with you all the time to become a good quarterback. All right. You need to be doing extra stuff on your own. So what I did was I put all of my knowledge of the game, teaching the game, the drills, the lessons, the leadership, the mental skills, the chalkboard, teaching defenses. I put it all in an app. Okay. It's on your phone. And I want to just share that with you, because this is, I believe, such a tremendous tool for the kid who's kind of the self-leader and is willing to lead themselves, because you can't lead other people until you learn how to lead yourself. And to lead yourself, you need to get better. So this is, let me just share this with you. But this is a kind of a video of a promo of my app. It'll give you a real good idea what it is. And then obviously I've got a real special offer just for you guys tonight. Hey, it's Coach Smith with Winning Edge. I'm really excited to talk to you about my all-new QB development app. It's an app on your phone that is like having me as a coach in your pocket. All you got to do is get this thing out and swipe through the various modules and drills so that you can become a better quarterback. It includes 8 important aspects of becoming a great quarterback. First of all, skill development. There's modules on throwing, there's modules on QB drops, footwork, pocket mobility drills, play action mechanics that incorporate both lesson and drills that you can go through on your own in your driveway or in your backyard. Modules on physical development, which allow you to strengthen and stabilize your shoulder, arm, and your core so that you're a more accurate passer, so that you're a stronger passer while providing injury prevention as well. There's QB-specific agility and speed development modules. There's also mental aspect modules where we take you in the film room or in the QB room up on the chalkboard with renowned coaches nationally that teach the game of football from an IQ standpoint, understanding the game of football. Things like understanding defensive fronts and defensive schemes and defensive coverages and how to attack those things. You got to know what you're doing with the ball. If you want to reach your fullest potential as a quarterback, you have to be smart and you have to know the game. Also, we have modules on leadership development so you can get into and deepen the relationship with your teammates and be a leader both on and off the field and in your community. I'm certified with the leading leadership organization in the world, the John Maxwell Organization. I love teaching leadership. Also, mental performance coaching. It's a new passion of mine. I love teaching how your mind works, how to control your mind prior to and during performances so that if you start to lose control
or if doubt starts to creep into your mind, you have mechanisms, strategies to get you grounded and back on track. Also mental imagery and breathing techniques. All these things are so important and they're not coached. Well, I'm going to coach it. I'm going to teach you how you're going to have it in the app. So there's 2 ways to get the QB app. Number 1, be in a current coaching relationship with me and it's included. Or if you're remote or don't live in the area, you can get it on a standalone basis. And it includes checking in with me on a weekly Zoom call where we talk football inside the QB room and we talk quarterback development. Go to winningedgeskills.com to learn more, or just pick up the phone and call me. If you want to learn more about the comprehensive nature of this app, then just continue watching this video past this point to get a better feel for what this app has to offer. Look forward to connecting with you soon. Thank you so much for watching.
The thing I really like about it is that it's very organized and there's modules for different sections. Like I've been working on the QB core development to help me stabilize myself when I throw. And there's modules, so you can just click on it, it'll show you every lesson. And it's very easy to get to because you can just pull it up on your phone and you can just go to the module and it's very easy to get to. It helps me because when I'm at my home and I'm like training by myself, I can just pull up the app. And if I see something I want to work on, like drops, throws, mechanics, workouts and stuff, I can just go and find it super easily. I can just find the module, find it, click on a lesson and go work on it. So before I started working in person with Coach Smith, me and my dad would look at the videos and we'd go through them. And then when I started coming to his camps, I saw the relation between all the drills and stuff. So when I got back, I could kind of focus on it and like go through all the drills and relate it to when I came here in person.
Well, I just look at the videos, I answer a few questions about them, and I do them right there in my room. It's helped me get better because I'm learning a lot about my drops, strength and training, exercises that I should be doing daily, and stuff about throwing the ball.
Okay. All right. So what I've done, guys, is if you want to pick up the app, here's what it costs. It's there's several different payment plans. It's $25 a month, but it's a 12-month commitment. So that's $300 a year. Okay. If you do a one-time payment, it's $249. Okay. So you save $50 by paying it all at once, for full access for a year. What I've done tonight is I call this the law of diminishing intent. Okay. The law of diminishing intent. Let me explain that law. It's like, oh, this is cool. This would be great. This would be great for us. Okay. I'm going to get this. And you get off this Zoom call. Okay. And your wife is like, hey, we got somehow, it's like, boom, life happens. Okay. Now you had intentions of doing something, but then you forget about it because life takes place. I call that the law of diminishing intent. The longer time goes by, the less chance you're going to do what you intended to do. Okay. So to combat the law of diminishing intent, I've created a code for you guys. It's QB Zoom because you're on a QB Zoom call tonight. If you sign up tonight, you're going to get 20% off. That'll save you $50. So that'll make it $199. Okay. Now, $249 is a phenomenal price. Okay. An hour and a half private session with me is $180 just for one session in person. Okay. So now, by the way, all of the chalkboard sessions, 24 chalkboard sessions where we're learning ball and in the film room, Coach Hawkman has done for me. You're going to learn the same way his quarterbacks, again, 9 consecutive quarterbacks going on to play in college. It's in the app, everything he teaches his quarterbacks. Okay. Phenomenal stuff. Honestly, I learn from Coach Hawkman all the time when he does these chalkboard sessions. So that's it, guys. If you want to sign up, just go to winningedgeskills.com/mobile academy. Go to the mobile academy page, check it out, and get yourself signed up for it. If you're a coach, I've got some bundles here. You can get 2 subscribers for the price of $279 using that code. You want 3 subscribers, you can get it for $359. So basically it's an extra $100 for each subscriber. If you want to get 5 subscribers, your entire program, okay, $529. If you're a coach out there and you got lots of quarterbacks in your program. So great opportunity, phenomenal tool. I poured my heart and soul into it and I believe in it deeply. But again, it's a tool. Like I tell the quarterbacks, this is a tool, that that you've got to use. I mean, your phones are like, I say your phones are like, I mean, fire is a tool, right? You can cook your food with it and you can burn your house down with it. Okay. The phones can be very destructive. I think we see the destructive effects of phone, or they can be wonderful tools, right? So if you're the type of if your son or is the type of person you think that would spend time, or you and your son would get on this app and use it, it can be a tremendous thing for your growth and helping you reach your goals. So that's it, guys. I would love to answer any questions you might have. I'm gonna stop my my screen share now and answer any questions you guys might have.
How do you get the ball out quicker?
How do you get the ball out quicker? That was a lot of echo going on there. Yeah, good question. Multiple factors. Number one is strength, core strength. On obviously number two is just strong mechanics, having good mechanics. When you separate, going here instead of way back here, okay? I mean, I can go deep into the weeds on this. But one of the things that I coach, and this is in the app as well, guys, is your upper body will replicate your lower body. Your upper body will replicate your lower body. So if you pound your feet, if you're getting your pre-pass position, you pound your feet, chatter your feet really fast, and then just transfer from back foot to front foot, keeping that same tempo. So I'm just going to literally get up and I'm just going to do this with my feet and then throw. Okay. When you do that, it's going to force you to be efficient up top. Your upper body will replicate the timing of your lower body. So that's another way to work on the speed of your release. In other words, if I keep my feet moving fast like this, my feet, and then I'm going to transfer from right foot to left foot and throw, okay, then I haven't got time to bring the ball way back here or way down here like Tim Tebow used to do. I've got to be here. I got to transfer it quickly. So there's lots of ways. It starts with strength and core ability and core strength, but it also is mechanics, and it's also how fast you are with your weight transfer. That's why your feet are so important to throwing.
I got a young 9U quarterback. He's at you find the laces a lot faster. How do you get your hands on the laces faster?
Another great question. Yeah. First of all, are we in shotgun or are we under center?
Shotgun.
Shotgun. Okay. Couple things. I see quarterbacks a lot that I'm working with. It's like we'll be working like quick game, like 1-step, 2-step drops, and they'll catch and they'll just throw without the laces. I'm like, why don't you find the laces? Are you practicing finding the laces? Well, I used to do this all the time growing up, is you just flip the ball around and you see how fast you can get your fingers on those laces. Okay. And this is the stuff you do that drives your mom nuts at home. She's like, hey, I was school today. It's like, oh, sorry, Mom. Well, what'd you do today? Did you have any, how's that test go? Oh, it wasn't good. And you're driving your mom nuts all the time because you're always doing this kind of stuff with the football. Okay. And you can get really good, guys. I always found the laces. You can get really good at getting at least, sometimes you don't get it perfectly, but more often, like 99% of the time, man, if it's catch and throw, I can get a finger on the lace, but that's just practice. Again, it may not be a perfect grip, but you're going to get a piece of that lace that's going to help you, help you spin the ball. Good question.
Thank you.
You betcha. Corey, I'm reading your question right now. Do you have any advice on how to start a private QB coaching program? Been toying with the idea for a while. Yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts on that because I did it. I lived it. I would say, Corey, are you still on, Corey? I would say be patient with it. If I were to show you my bookshelf over here, I buy everything related to training quarterbacks. If there's a book, a video program, anything, I own it from all the guys who do what I do. So first of all, invest in yourself, read everything. Okay. See what makes sense to you. You've got to take a deep dive. I played the position, guys. I was a Division I college quarterback. That did not give me the right to teach quarterbacks. That did not qualify me to teach quarterbacks. I did not know how to coach quarterbacks. I watch these NFL guys on YouTube videos try to teach quarterbacks, and I laugh. It's It's like they don't have the first idea how to teach a quarterback. Just because they play it at a high level doesn't mean you can teach it. Learn it, study it, and then start with one or two dudes, man, and just get out there and see what works for you. And it takes a while, but after a while, they'll start getting results on the field. One of the funnest things for me, if you ask my wife, what's your husband enjoy about coaching quarterbacks? It's Friday nights and Saturday mornings, guys, in the fall. I cannot tell you, my phone will start dinging. It'll start going off with dads coaching me like, oh my God, you should have seen Joey tonight. He threw 5 touchdowns, 300 yards. Coach, I can't thank you enough. We cannot believe the transformation. Okay. It's really, really fun to get those kind of results in those text messages. It's very rewarding, but start with some dudes and they'll get better. And then the word will spread. But it's very hard to get off the ground. It's very hard. Don't expect much your first few years. So my first camp, I could show you pictures of on my computer. My first camp had 3 quarterbacks in it. 3.
I have a question as a coach now. The first question was for my quarterback. Do you think running the RPO system at a 10U age group is too advanced?
Yes and no. Depends on, in my opinion, how simple you can keep that. For example, you could say, hey, now reading the linebacker, that could be complicated for kids, being able to execute that from a skill standpoint. Where if the linebacker steps up, you're going to pull it and throw the slant behind them. But you could say, hey, if that corner is soft, stand up and throw him the ball. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can really simplify it and build on it from there. And if they can do that, if they can execute that, okay, well, maybe let's try running a slant behind a linebacker and see how that works. A lot of it's going to get down to the skill of your quarterback, really. I think you can teach the other kids to do it, but it's gonna come down to the abilities of the quarterback to read and have the physical skills to be able to do that. Because you're right, you're sticking the ball in there, and then you're flipping your hips and throwing, right? And that's challenging for an underdeveloped quarterback who doesn't have a lot of strength. But yeah, give it a shot. How far, okay, KJ Brown, how far back will colleges go to see your grades in school? Oh man, here's my philosophy on college recruiting. Those guys are looking to build a family. College programs are looking to build a family. So they want to know, we want this person in our family. I had a kid I coached that played for Boise State, and they had this saying at Boise State. It was he an OKG? So my buddy, this kid hosted a recruit, and after the recruit left, the coach pulled the player, the kid I coached, he pulled him into his office and said, "Hey, what'd you think of this kid? Was he an OKG?" Well, that stands for our kind of guy. Okay, because they're looking to build a culture and a family. So I think a good program is going to obviously look at your grades. But they're going to look at your character as well. I've heard of coaches that will show up at practice without their gear on. So they don't want to be identified as a college coach. They'll show up at practice and watch. And they'll just want to see, how do you interact with your teammates? Do you have a good attitude? Are you coachable? Are you well respected by your teammates? How's your attitude? How's your body language? So I think good programs take a really deep dive into recruiting kids with character. Adam, I see your question is, what's the O in Ford? It's other activities. What other activities are you involved in here at school? Okay. What other sports, what other activities? R stands for recreation. What do you do outside of school? Are you into video games or, that sort of thing? If you're an adult, O stands for occupation. What do you do for a living? But kids don't have occupation, so I changed that one myself. I changed it to other activities. Just a way to stay in a place of curiosity when you're trying to connect and build relationships with people. It's really important. It's important in sports, but it's really important in life. I've had kids get dates with girls using this approach because it's real. It's authentic. You're not faking it. You're having a real conversation with them. How hard is it to get recruited if my high school team is extremely run heavy? It's extremely difficult, Jeff. It's extremely difficult. Your film is your resume. When you want to be recruited and play college ball, your film is your resume. If they can't see you throwing, I mean, how are they going to recruit you? And how are you going to develop and reach your maximum potential as a quarterback if you're turning around and handing the ball off all the time? It's just a reality of life. I deal with that one all the time. It's just, it is what it is. Not that it can't happen. Not that it can't happen. You better get around to some camps, and you better have some skills that are going to really allow you to stand out at camp. You better have some abilities to get into relationship with some coaches. You better be able to, walk up to them and talk to them, have a conversation with them. You have to take a different approach, but it's going to be a harder approach for sure.